How's it going, everybody? Welcome back into Earth Nerd. I am Bryce West, and today we're going to be doing a tier list video. We're going to be doing my tier list on my favorite Power Ranger seasons out of all of them. We're going to be talking about every single one of them. I have no idea how long this video is going to be. We even got some of the movies down there, all of the movies down there, so we're going to be ranking those as well. And we're going to be starting off with... Oh, I guess to start off, I'm going to be talking about my tiers here. So, for my top tier, I've got Super Mega Win. I'm sorry. I'm apologizing because that's a very infamous phrase in the Power Rangers fandom, but that's okay. We're going to go with it anyway. And that's going to be my top tier. That's going to be the best of the best for me. Then we got Coolio. This is not quite the very top of the top, but it's close enough. Morphin Time is just, a good season, a solid season. Power More Rangers, if you understand that reference, we should be friends. I won't explain that any further, but basically it's like, you can tell that they just didn't try, and that's what I like most about it. Or it's just a middle-of-the-road season. Ay is a yikes tier. It's not that great. Rita's Dumpster is the worst of the worst. And Need to Rewatch. I think you can figure out what that one means. So, we're going to start off pretty much in release order. So we're going to go with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And we're going to put this in the Power More Rangers. I think it's, everybody loves it because it's the original, but I think it is a middle of the season whenever you compare it to all 30. There isn't really much of a story except for whenever they're doing stuff with the Green Ranger. So that's why I decided to put it in the Power More Ranger tier. There just really isn't a lot going on in this one. Obviously, it's the original, it's the one that started all, so I got to give it a little respect, I think. But and obviously they're trying to figure out what works and what doesn't in this one. So I cut it a little slack for that, but I can't really rank it much higher than that. So this is going to be season 2 here. I'm going to put that in Morphin Time. I think it's basically season 1 but better. We also get the introduction of Rocky, Adam, and Aisha as the new red, yellow, and black Rangers. So that's really cool. I do really like Rocky, Adam, and Aisha. So it's a lot of fun to see them in this. We get a little bit more relationship stuff with Tommy and Kimberly, which I like. I feel like in season 1 it was just kind of a hinted thing, just like an assumed thing that was going on, but they never really did too much more with it. We also get obviously Tommy as the White Ranger in this. He's a Green Ranger in this photo, but I like Tommy a lot more as the White Ranger. And I like him as the leader of the team as well. I don't know if I prefer him over Jason per se, but he is still a really good leader. And so, yeah, season 2 is basically season 1 but better. And then season 3, man, it's tough because season 3 is season 2 but better, but I don't know if it's quite Coolio level. So I'm gonna still keep it in Morphin Time. I think I definitely, it's definitely my favorite season of the original 3 Mighty Morphin Power Rangers seasons, but I don't think it's quite a tier higher. I don't think it's a tier higher. I think it's better, but still in the same tier. We get the ninja suits in this season. I wish they were in this photo so you could see. But yeah, you get the ninja suits in this season. I really like the ninja suits. It's the first fully American costumes that have been actually used. I mean, obviously we had the Dark Rangers in season 2, but they were only in like I don't even think they were there for 5 minutes. So I mean, these suits actually do get used and I do really like the ninja suits in this. So yeah, and obviously we get Cat and the sort of drama with all that. So I felt like there was more actual, you know, story stuff going on in this season. And I love all of the stuff with Bulk and Skull trying to become junior police officers as well. So yeah, really love season 3, but not quite in that next tier. All right, Alien Rangers. Ooh, I'm gonna put this one in I. It's definitely not the worst of the worst, but they're just, I don't know. The Alien Rangers are just themselves just kind of feel like an afterthought. Like the Kid Rangers still take up pretty much all of the focus in this, so we don't really get to know the Alien Rangers as characters. And then obviously, like I just said, the Rangers, the Mighty Morphin Rangers have been turned into kids. So, I don't know, we got to deal with kid actors the whole time. But to be fair, the kid actors in this weren't actually horrible. But, yeah, I definitely am not really that big of a fan of Alien Rangers. It's only 10 episodes, so I guess that's good. We didn't have to watch this for like 20 or something, or 20 or 30. But yeah, definitely not that big of a fan of Alien Rangers. Now, Zeo, I do think I am going to put in Coolio. It is basically a Mighty Morphin Season 4, but if it was a Mighty Morphin season, it would absolutely be the best one. I think everybody sort of goes through some sort of arc, especially Tommy. Tommy gets a lot of stuff, which obviously Tommy has already gotten a lot of stuff, but the stuff that he gets in this is really, really good. I think I really, this is the season where I really grew to love Adam. Adam's probably my favorite one in this season. In Mighty Morphin season 2 and 3, he doesn't really get a lot to do, but it feels like he got way more to do in this one, which I really liked. Rocky is still kind of just there, but that's what I love most about Rocky. It's just, you know, Rocky's just vibing, you know, and yeah, I love that for him. Tanya coming in as Yellow was really weird at the start. They kind of just ignore the fact that she was a kid that was turned into a teenager, and I wish they would have maybe explored that a little more. But I love her relationship with Adam. I think they work really well together. I wish they would have explored that a little more too. But yeah, and then obviously this is the season where Tommy and Cat start becoming a thing, which I might get flamed for this in the comments, but I do prefer Tommy and Cat over Tommy and Kimberly. I know, but man, Kimberly did Tommy dirty. You know? Yeah, that whole episode was a big yikes, and then they were reading the letter in front of everybody at the youth center. Anyway, but yeah, I think Zeo is definitely one of my favorites, and so this is gonna be the first one in the Coolio tier. Turbo, man. Oh man, you know, Turbo's a tough one, dude. Because if it was just the first half of Turbo, it would easily go in Rita's dumpster. But whenever they get the second cast, I would probably put it in the Power More Rangers tier, because it is still just so wacky, but that's what I love about it, is how bad it is. But since the first half is so actually bad, I'm going to put it with Alien Rangers in the I tier. I mean, it really is basically two different seasons split in half, because basically the entire cast leaves the show halfway through, and they kind of just start all over again with a new cast. And then that new cast fit the vibe of the show way better. So I'm gonna put Turbo in I, even though, man, that first season was awful. That first half of the season was awful. I mean, man, yeah. Anyway, if you've seen it, you know. But In Space is an easy super mega win. I mean, it's like, you don't even have to think about it. If you've seen this season, you know, I mean, this is definitely the most serialized season so far. There's overarching plots, overarching stories. The characters get actual, you know, development. Andros is a really great Red Ranger. I enjoyed TJ as the Red Ranger in Turbo, but he's really good as Blue here too. The romance between Andros and Ashley is fun. I like Cassie just as much as I liked her in Turbo, which she was a good character in Turbo. Carlos is definitely the weakest out of the group, and I would probably say the same thing for his appearance in Turbo. But he is still a really fun character, and I like him in this too. I like Zane as the Silver Ranger. He's really cool. And obviously the whole thing between Andros and Astronema. And honestly, all the villains were really good in this. It's a really great close to the quote-unquote story that started within Season 1. It basically wraps up this whole first era of Power Rangers, which in a really nice, tight little bow. So, and I love the way they ended Bulk and Skull's story, even though it really wasn't the end of their story. At least not for Bulk. It wasn't the end of his story. But yeah, In Space is definitely a really cool season. Lost Galaxy, this is a tough one. I'll probably put it in Morphin time. This is a season that I don't know. I'm just kind of indifferent on. Like, there isn't really anything, like, super bad about it, but there isn't really, like with In Space. Like, you come up with In Space, and you're like, holy crap, this is crazy. And then they follow it up with another space-themed season, and it just doesn't really meet the highs of In Space, even though, we get the In Space Lost Galaxy crossover halfway through, and then they actually, you know, had the guts to kill off a Ranger, which is the first time they ever did that. Obviously, there was behind-the-scenes stuff that had to happen with that, unfortunately. But then we also got Corone from In Space to come back as a Ranger, which is a really cool sort of epilogue to her story. So I really liked seeing Corone become a Ranger. All the other Rangers are really fun. Obviously, Damon is really cool. Leo, I think, is an okay Ranger. Red Ranger. But yeah, overall, I still think it's a solid season, but it's definitely not in my highest tiers. Lightspeed Rescue, man. Ooh. I can't put it in III. I think that's definitely wrong, but I will put it in Power More Rangers, simply because this season is just so forgettable to me. Like, the only story arcs that I remember is the stuff with the Titanium Ranger, because that's pretty much the only interesting thing that ever happens in this show, at least for me. I know there are people out there who, like, this is one of their favorite seasons ever. For me, I just can't. I'm sorry. Carter is a really good Red Ranger, though. I do really like Carter. But other than the Titanium Ranger stuff, there just isn't that much there for me. And, you know, the Titanium Ranger doesn't really show up that much because he's an original costume. So they couldn't really afford to have him in every episode because they have to be shooting all that new footage. So yeah, he's the only really major important thing that I really remember for the show, and he's not even there for that much. So yeah. So Time Force, oh man. This is gonna be rough, guys. I'm sorry about this, but I'll put it in Morphin time. I don't love Time Force as much as everybody else does, but I don't think it's in this tier either. So I'll put it in Morphin time. Here's the deal. Time Force has some really good stuff in it. Pretty much the whole cast is great, you know, but there's just so many weird, unanswered questions with the sort of mythology of the show that I just can't really get behind, you know, and all this weird stuff with Alex, and I really want to watch Time Ranger because I hear that Time Ranger pretty much addresses all of the issues that I ever had with Time Force. So whenever I watch Time Ranger, I'm going to be really interested in checking out some of the differences with that. But yeah, there was just a few issues with Time Force that I had that I can't really put it in these top 2 tiers. But it is still a good season, and I understand why people love it so much. And that finale is just absolutely spectacular. Wild Force is going to be the first one that goes in the need to rewatch tier. I haven't really watched much of Wild Force besides Forever Red, since I was watching reruns on Jetix as a kid. So Wild Force is definitely a season that I need to go back through and watch. And honestly, I'm gonna say the same for Ninja Storm. Ninja Storm was on quite a bit on Jetix whenever I was a kid, but it definitely wasn't a season that I watched a lot. And it hasn't been a season that I've watched a lot since. And I hear people really love Ninja Storm. Not so much Wild Force, but yeah, I definitely need to go through Ninja Storm again at some point. But Dino Thunder, this will definitely be a solid Coolio for me. Like all the Rangers are great. Seeing Tommy come back as the Black Ranger and a mentor is really, really cool. The White Ranger arc was definitely just kind of Green with Evil on repeat. I mean, we had a little bit more going on there with the stuff with his dad, stuff like that, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, Dino Thunder is a really, really solid season. I don't think it's at this very top tier for me, but it's definitely one of my favorites. SPD, I think if we're talking biases, because SPD I would probably consider SPD to be like my Mighty Morphin, because that's the one that I watched the most as a kid. However, I rewatched it again here recently, and I think I'm gonna put it down in Coolio tier. There's just so many story stuff that just doesn't really end up making a whole lot of sense, especially with the A Squad Rangers turning evil. I think it's cool to have like a full like evil Ranger team again, because we didn't really have that since Power Rangers in Space with the Psycho Rangers, but their betrayal just kind of doesn't really make a lot of sense, and it's explained off pretty quickly to where it's just like, oh, we just want to be on the winning team. And they didn't really build it up that much, so it's just like, oh, okay. And then the whole weird thing with Sam being a ball of light, instead of just them bringing in an actor. Like, I know, they ran out of money pretty quick because they had like 20 Rangers in this season. But yeah, wasn't really a big fan of that. So I'm putting in Coolio tier. It's still one of my absolute favorites, but there definitely was a few issues with it for sure. Mystic Force, here's the deal, y'all. I'm putting this in Morphin time. All right, I think people sleep on Mystic Force. I know everybody cries about Nick being the main focus or whatever. And it's just like, I know Power Rangers is typically an ensemble, but in most shows there is a main character. So it's not that abnormal for a TV show to have a main character. And that's really all I feel with Nick. It's just, he's just the main character. We still get a lot of cool stuff with Xander. I think Maddie could have been a little bit better than just, the love interest for Nick. So yeah, they could have definitely done more with her. I really liked Vita. I liked Chip, even though he didn't really get a lot to do, but he was a really fun character. Daggeron's really cool. Udana's really cool. Lianbo is really, really cool. I like the whole family aspect of it. Obviously, in Magi Ranger, they were all family members, so in this, it was just 3 of them. But I still like the whole family drama aspect to it, and I really like the story, too, so we're gonna go ahead and put that in Morphin time tier. Operation Overdrive, people really hate on this one. I'm not gonna put it in Morphin time, but I will put it in Power More Rangers tier. They definitely weren't trying their best with this one, but I still typically have a lot of fun with this one. I like the adventure aspect, the treasure hunting stuff whenever they do that. Obviously, the Rangers themselves are pretty dysfunctional, but I do think that is sort of refreshing. It's a change of pace. They're not just all buddy-buddy all the time. And they're not perfect either, which I like to see at times. Obviously, in Operation Overdrive, if you've seen it, it gets a little old, them just all being a-holes. But and I do think the Mac twist was done fairly well. I don't like the way that they ended it at the finale, but I think the reveal of it was pretty cool. So yeah, and honestly, I like the whole different villain faction aspect of it, like all of the drama that was going on with the villains too. Like everybody just hated each other in this season. I just loved all the drama, and so yeah, Operation Overdrive I'll put in the Power More Rangers tier. Jungle Fury, whoo man. I'll go ahead and put Jungle Fury in Coolio, even though it's another one I kind of want to put in Super Mega Win. I think Casey as the Red Ranger, or at least as the leader, really makes no sense, and they didn't really do a good job of making it make sense for me. I mean, I was fine with him being the Red Ranger, but do something like they did in Geki Ranger, where Yellow was like the leader. Because, like, I don't know, like you can't just make the Towel Boy the leader of this villain fighting force, and it makes it really hard for me to believe, him just all of a sudden becoming good at everything. Obviously, in the first few episodes, we do get some training, stuff like that, but then as the show goes on, he kind of is just all of a sudden just really powerful. And I wish they would have shown Casey struggling more, because, I mean, he was just a trainee, and he was just accidentally stumbled upon into this. And having him be the leader, I don't really think makes sense. They should have probably had it been Yellow, or, I mean, even RJ, would have obviously made more sense as the leader. But that being said, I do generally like Casey as a character. RJ is one of the coolest Rangers ever, if not the coolest Ranger ever. I love RJ so much. And then we got the Spirit Rangers in this one, which are American originals, which was really cool. I really like those suits. But yeah, Jungle Fury is a really solid season for sure. RPM, this is the next easy Super Mega Win. Like, again, just like with In Space, don't even really have to think about it too much. This was pretty easy for me. I mean, it's Mad Max meets Power Rangers. What else can I say about it? This is definitely the most serialized season we ever got. Very, very plot heavy. I don't really think there's even a filler episode, except for maybe the behind the scenes episode, but that was like its kind of own special thing. Yeah, there's really no filler episodes in this, and it's a 32-episode season. So for it to be a 32-episode season with really no filler episodes, I think that's pretty freaking impressive. And it shows how fleshed out this story really was. Obviously, if you're a big fan, the lead writer did leave halfway through the show because there was some budget issues. It went over budget, and Chip Lynn, a pretty famous Power Rangers writer, was brought in to finish out the show. So the show didn't really finish in the way that it was intended. However, I still think it turned out really freaking well, despite, all of the behind-the-scenes stuff going on. So, yeah, definitely, if you somehow still haven't checked out RPM, absolutely check it out. All of the seasons that I've talked about so far are available to watch on the official Power Rangers YouTube channel, completely free. So if any of these, tickle your fancy, definitely be sure to look those up. So Samurai, I'm gonna put in the need to rewatch tier. Samurai, I never hated Samurai. And it seemed like, you know, everybody was real easy to jump on this season. I think most of the people who do that have watched both Samurai and Shinkenger, and I know in Super Sentai, Shinkenger is considered to be one of the best Super Sentai seasons. And Samurai is not considered to be one of the best Power Rangers seasons. But I never hated Samurai or really Super Samurai. But that being said, I do think that these are two seasons that I need to rewatch because, again, haven't really seen them since I was young. All right, Rita's dumpster here. So that's pretty easy. These next two. Megaforce and Super Megaforce, they do change suits in Super Megaforce, but they're still basically just the same freaking thing. I do think Super Megaforce is a little better than Megaforce, but not much. I like Noah's character better in Super Megaforce, basically because of that one episode very early on that he had that was really good. But yeah, there's nothing happens. At least in the first season, nothing really happens of significance at all. And then season 2, like you get the other legendary costumes and stuff like that, which is fun. But then pretty much it's just a season that just causes a lot of problems that the comics were kind of forced to fix years and years later. So and not really any of the characters are likable at all. Like the closest one would maybe be Jake or maybe Gia, but I think that's mostly just Ciara Hanna, the actress, being likable and not her character. Because I mean I honestly think Megaforce and Super Megaforce had a really good cast, but they just were given nothing to work with, and so it's very disappointing. So Dino Charge Season 1 is going in the Coolio tier easily. Really fun, really fun season. It's definitely not like the best of the best, but it is definitely the best of the Neo Saban era seasons, and it's not close. I like all the characters in it. Tyler's a really good Red Ranger. Shelby is a really good Pink Ranger. She probably is the best Pink Ranger. Throwing that out there. Koda is an interesting character. Yoshi Sardarso, I'm obviously a huge fan of, because why wouldn't you be? But with him being a caveman in this, I don't really think he gets a lot of cool stuff to do. I definitely preferred him in HyperForce because we got to kind of be a little bit more of an actual character. But with that being said, Chase is fun, Riley's fun. Riley doesn't get a lot to do, but whenever he does get stuff to do, it's fun. Ivan is a cool 6 Ranger. I really like Ivan. Philip is whatever. And then Kendall, she doesn't become a Ranger till the very end, but I think Kendall's a really fun character too. So I like all the Rangers in this. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love the suits too. I know that probably shouldn't have too much of a too much of a say in this, but the suits are awesome. I also love Kiryuger, which is the Super Sentai season this was based on. So yeah, definitely a fun season. Supercharge, unfortunately, do I put it in III? Oh man, I don't think it's on the same level of Turbo. I'm gonna put it in III because I mean it is truly a major step down from season 1. It's honestly just a lot of filler. It's mostly filler. The stuff with Tyler's dad is weird because the actor who played Tyler's dad was only like 6 years older than the actor who played Tyler, and they explain it because like, oh, the Energem stops aging or whatever, and it's just like, all right, guys, sure, like, all right, whatever. Xenowing, I don't really have any feelings on Xenowing. I think those are the only two Rangers that they added on. We definitely see Kendall a lot more as a Ranger, and Kendall is still a fun character in this. And then Heckle, man, they really messed up with Heckle because by the way, I love Heckle, but they started off the season with Heckle sort of being a double agent, like he was befriending the Rangers, but then also he was obviously the bad guy, and they basically reveal that he's the villain in like episode 3 or 4, and it's just like you couldn't have done this for like half the season, because like you reveal it in episode, I can't remember, 3 or 4, and then it's just like, okay, well, who cares now? You know, you didn't really build out this relationship at all, so whenever the Rangers feel quote-unquote betrayed by Heckle, it's just like, you just met the guy, you know? so yeah, I wish they would have had the whole Heckle being a double agent thing go on for much longer, at least for half the season, and then have it be like a mid-season finale reveal that, you know, like the Rangers find out that he's actually Snide, or half of Snide, or whatever. And then obviously he becomes the Dark Ranger later on in Cosmic Fury and in the comics, but it would have been really cool if they had done it here. They had the footage, you know, they could have done it, but I don't think they expected Heckle to be such a fan favorite character, and so that's why they did it later on. I think they should have done it in this season, and then obviously the finale is just absolutely awful. It is just absolutely horrendous. It was so bad that in like, how many seasons later was it? 2 seasons later, they had to do some backtracking and explain what was going on by saying that, like, oh, this is just an alternate universe now, because it broke canon so bad that they had to just go, oh, this is an alternate timeline now. And you cannot convince me that Dino Charge was always supposed to be in an alternate universe. whenever they originally wrote it, like, no, like that was definitely a decision that was made retroactively, because that finale just messed things up so bad. But yeah, definitely was not a fan of Dino Supercharge. I did like their power up mode, the Dino Super. Was it called the Supercharge mode? I think it was called Dino Super Drive mode. I liked the blacked out visors. I thought they looked pretty cool. Again, they're not in this photo, which I wish they were. Kind of like the season 3 photo, but whatever. Anyway, yeah, not a fan at all. And here we go once again. Ninja Steel, Ninja Super Steel, kind of like with Mega Force. They're basically the same thing. Ninja Steel, I think, is better because at least we have the Gold Ranger arc with Brody, the Red Ranger's brother. So that stuff was a little bit interesting. Otherwise than that, definitely one of the worst seasons. Man, I feel bad because Peter Sadarso, who plays the Blue Ranger Preston, is seriously like the nicest person in the world. But they, like, it's kind of like with Megaforce. Like, I like the cast. It's just I don't think they were really given much to work with in terms of the story and the writing. And then Ninja Super Steel, literally, nothing happens in this season other than the crossover, the 25th anniversary crossover, which was a great crossover, but I mean, not enough to save the show. I do like their power up mode, which is actually in this photo, which I really like. But yeah, so I like their power up mode in this too. But man, I love the suits in this too. It really stinks. Like I want to love Ninja Steel, but I just, man, I just can't. And this is one of the seasons that Chip Lynn helmed, and Chip Lynn I know can do great things. You know, he's written some of the best episodes, some of the best seasons of Power Rangers. So I don't know if this was a network issue or if this was a Saban corporate issue, but yeah, the Ninja Steel definitely fell short. Beast Morphers. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna put season 1 in the Power Rangers tier. Beast Morphers was a really cool reveal because this was a season that got skipped in terms of the Super Sentai seasons that we adapt. This was skipped for Dino Charge, and I don't know. This first season is kind of forgettable. I don't really remember a lot that really happens in this season at all. I remember the Gold and Silver Ranger stuff. I'm gonna be honest. I don't even remember how this one ends. I really like Blaze and Roxy though, especially Roxy. Roxy, oddly enough, is probably my favorite Ranger, quote unquote, in the season. I think Roxy's a really interesting character with her and Robbie's relationship, and how Roxy is a clone. The cybervillain Roxy is a clone of the real Roxy, but Javi has sort of a difficult time differentiating the two, and I don't know. I think she got the coolest stuff to do, but yeah, definitely a pretty forgettable one. Beast Morphers though, I will put in a season 2. That is, I'll put in Morphin time. There's definitely a lot more going on in this second season. We've got the whole Dino crossover stuff going on, and it was a multi-episode build-up to that too, which I really liked. We get the random space share Gavin crossover, but in Power Rangers he's called Captain Chaku, and I thought that was pretty cool. And then obviously we get the reveal at the end with the villain being. Spoilers, by the way, if you haven't seen Beast Morphers, but it was revealed that Evox is actually Vengex from the RPM universe, making Beast Morphers a sequel to RPM. And you know, this was fans were definitely speculating about it a lot online, but the build up for it and the eventual reveal I don't think was done all that well. I think if they had been sort of teasing it and building it up throughout the entirety of the season, Beast Morphers Season 2 would probably be up here. But, with that being said, I'm going to put Beast Morphers Season 2 in Morphin time. Just because I don't think the reveal was done quite well. So, Dino Fury, Season 1. I'll put Season 1 in Morphin time. It's another one where it's a very solid season. It's kind of like Beast Morphers Season 1, to where, you know, it's a lot of just sort of meeting the characters and figure out, you know, who they are. There isn't that much going on compared to Season 2 and 3. But that being said, I do absolutely love this cast. I do think Gold in both of these seasons was done a little dirty. Not really Jordan Fight's fault. It's just they had Ion go through the same, you know, lesson over and over and over again, and he just wouldn't learn the lesson. And it's just like every Focus episode that Ion had, it was just the same thing over and over and over again. I was just like, oh my gosh. And he actually did join the show pretty late, but I mean, I kind of attest that to, I mean, we started off with 3 Rangers, red, blue, and pink, and then green and black were added on later, and so I'm assuming that's probably why they had Gold be added on so late. But yeah, and then obviously we got the mysterious stuff going on with Void Knight, and Void Knight's a really cool character. So yeah, Dino Fury Season 1 is pretty solid. Season 2, however, I think that will definitely go in Coolio tier. This is where things really start to ramp up, and we do get a lot of story stuff here. We get the return of Lord Zed. We find out what's going on with Void Knight. We learn about Amelia's parents, which is really cool. Another thing that people were speculating a lot over. We get the relationship with Amelia and Ollie, and this is something that people were shipping for a while. At least I was shipping for a while. But then as soon as they got together, I was like, oh, never mind. like I don't think they just really had that good of chemistry together. And so I wasn't really a huge fan. And then we get more of the Izzy and Fern relationship in this one too, which I really enjoyed. Obviously, Javi doesn't get a lot to do, but I like Javi. I think he's sort of like the Hasbro era version of Rocky, where Javi's just there to have some fun. He's just there to have a good time, and I really like that about him. Ion, I have the same problems with Ion as I did in season 1. Zato goes through some pretty cool stuff in this season, and I like the way they ended his character in this season, even though obviously he comes back, but yeah, and I like his suit at the end too. It was a lot of fun. So, all right, last but not least for the seasons. Cosmic Fury. This is a really, really tough one to rank, because it's only 10 episodes. I'll put it in Morphin time, because I do have a pretty major soft spot for Cosmic Fury. It's only 10 episodes, but man, with those 10 episodes, they really tried their best. They gave it their all with those 10 episodes. We get our first full season female Red Ranger, which is really cool. I personally liked Zato as the Zenith Ranger. I definitely understand why people had problems with him becoming the Zenith Ranger, but I personally liked what they did with his story. Javi, with the whole arm thing, was one of those, oh wow, they went there type of deals. So I really like that. Obviously, the Izzy and Fern stuff is the best in this season, because Fern is a series regular, and we get to see her become the Orange Ranger, which is really cool. Ion is at his best in this season. I think I definitely like what they did with Ion, and sort of his back and forth with Amelia, and him dealing with Zato being gone. I do really like what they did with Ion. That being said, the best Ranger in this season, believe it or not, folks, is Ollie. Ollie, for me, and again, nothing against the actor or anything, but Ollie, the character, for me, was easily my least favorite in Dino Fury season 1 and 2. But man, here in season 3, they went crazy with this guy. I mean, he's evil for like most of the show, and he gets like probably one of, if not the best, Power Rangers exclusive costumes we've ever got. And even if you include it with the Super Sentai costumes, this would be one of the best costumes ever. His evil Blue Ranger suit is freaking amazing, and he is like, Kai Moya is just so great as a bad guy. And I love sort of, the struggle between him and Amelia, because like I said, like I initially wanted them to get together whenever I was watching Dino Fury, and then once they got together finally, I was like, never mind, I don't really ship it as much. But seeing them go through this sort of struggle and being able to come back together, I think helps out their relationship quite a bit, which I really liked. And obviously, it was really cool to see Billy come back as the mentor in this. I really enjoyed what they did with his character. I thought he was a pretty good mentor. And then having Mick come back from Ninja Steel as the Ninja Steel Red Ranger was obviously a lot of fun as well. And anything with Kelton Henderson is bound to be, pretty solid, I think. So, yeah, I love seeing more Kelton Henderson, so it was cool to see him come back for this final season here. All right, so with the movies here, this is going to be interesting. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. I'll put it in Power More Rangers. I mean, it is absolutely wacky, insane. Uh, which is what I love about it. You know, I definitely I can't I don't think I could sit here and say that is a good movie, but um, I definitely enjoy the original Power Rangers movie a lot. The Turbo the Turbo movie. Oh, I'll put it in I there there's not a lot I like about this movie, but I like the overall look of the movie. I like how it still looks like Power Rangers, like with the first movie, especially that Megazord battle that was all CG, like 1995 CG that looked awful. The Megazord battle in this looked like it could have come from Super Sentai, which I really liked. I liked how they were able to recreate that, and obviously seeing pretty much the entire Zeo cast in a feature length movie together, which was really cool. Even though the majority of the Zeo cast, I guess, was in the original Mighty Morphin movie too. Anyway, but I like the stuff that they did with Jason and Kimberly as well. Sort of being a little evil in this. So there are a few things that I like in this one, but not a lot. Clash of the Red Rangers, the movie, is another easy Rita's dumpster. I don't think I have anything good to say about this one. Due to SAG issues, they weren't even able to get Scott to come back from RPM in person. He was able to voice the character, but he had to use a pseudonym to not get in trouble with SAG. So, which is the Screen Actors Guild. For those who don't know. So, yeah, that was really weird. He basically came and said, like, oh, I don't know if I can breathe the air here because I'm from another dimension, which is really stupid cop-out. And the actual, like, Clash of the Red Rangers part maybe lasts for, like, 2 minutes at most. But then, even then, they weren't even actually fighting. They were just tricking the bad guys. So, and Red is the only one that comes back. None of the other RPM people come back in this. So, like, I know it was called Clash of the Red Rangers, but the movie that they adapted had all of the Go-Oners, which are the RPM equivalents in it. So, yeah, definitely not a fan of this one. Like, even the Samurai cast isn't really good in this. So, yeah. The 2017 reboot movie. I'll put it in Morphin time. It's not a perfect movie. There are definitely issues with it. I think it took them way too long to get their powers. To the point it's just like, the movie's almost over, by the time they get their powers. So it's definitely not a very action-heavy movie. But overall, I really like pretty much all of these new versions of these characters. I like how they modernized it, but it still feels like Power Rangers. It's not this like dark and gritty, violence, blood and like no, like it is still Power Rangers. Like it still is a dark film, at least picture wise. But yeah, I do like the more grown up, serious tone, but they were still able to capture the feel of Power Rangers, which I really liked. Obviously, would have been cool to get a sequel for this, but that's definitely way past being able to happen. I like what they were going for, and I like what they were setting up, and it's a shame they weren't really able to continue past this. But I definitely understand why. I mean, they decided to release it against Beauty and the Beast, the live-action Beauty and the Beast remake. Not really sure what they were thinking there. Like, I don't know how they thought they were going to beat Beauty and the Beast at the box office. So I think the release really killed it, and then also just not a lot of action. It's Power Rangers. So anyway, last but not least, we have Once and Always here. I have
pretty major soft spot for Once and Always. I'll put it in Morphin time as well. I think Once and Always was a really, really solid return for a lot of the original Mighty Morphin cast. It was a great way to celebrate the 30th anniversary with this sort of Netflix original film special, whatever you want to call it. I believe Netflix calls it a Netflix original film. Even though it's only, I think it's like 50 minutes or something like that. But it was great. It was great, especially seeing Walter Jones back as Zach, because we haven't seen him since he left in season 2, which was really cool. But it was also really cool to see Billy leading this version of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which is really, really awesome. It was also great to see Kat and Rocky. You know, I got a soft spot for Rocky. And then Min, the new Yellow Ranger, was a really cool character too. I wish we could have seen that character do more, but obviously, you know, Power Rangers kind of ended, went on hiatus, whatever, however you want to claim it, pretty much right after this. So we didn't really get to see a lot more of her character, but yeah, I think Once and Always was pretty solid. It's another one where I understand some people's issues with it, but for me, and whenever it came out, this really hit a special place in my heart, and I've just always really, really enjoyed Once and Always. But with that being said, that is my complete tier list for the complete Power Rangers, television movie franchise so far. This is all of it. So definitely let me know in the comments below. What do you think of my picks here? Do you think I did something blasphemous? Would you move some things? Definitely be sure to let me know, and I'll definitely be sure to watch the ones in the need to rewatch tier at some point. So I could give them a more of a proper, better rating. And honestly, you know, I'm watching through a lot of the Super Sentai seasons right now, but it would be kind of cool to try to rewatch the entire Power Rangers season from 1 to 30, maybe in a year or two. And I think that would be a pretty cool series on the channel. But yeah, so that's my tier list. Thank you all so much for watching. We got more reviews coming out throughout the weekend. Ultraman Art, Kamen Gabu, Boom Boonger. Definitely stay tuned for that and more. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care.